Oh my goodness, what a window. I thought it was just going to be plain sailing, but we have had a crazy transfer window full of drama and challenges and players being our. It's been. Oh, let me update you and I'll show us our Champions League group. Oof. Let's show you the first out. Michael Mano. We knew it was happening. 12 million to Porto. I mean, he's worth 12 to 15 million. He's a fantastic player. The physicals. He's a club legend, literally a club legend, but he just insisted on going to Sporting. I don't get it. He's gone. We move on. I'm not hugely gutted. At least we got some money for him. But he's, I mean, he looks still consistently over a 7. We're going to miss Mano. We really, really are. But there's nothing we could do. We get to one that people probably don't care about. Giorgio Barros has gone. He came in. We thought he might be a bright young prospect on the left. We thought he might become homegrown. Hasn't really done anything. If he can't perform back on loan in Argentina, we thought we'd just cash in 2 million. Not much of a story there. And then we have Javert. Yeah, so let me tell you what happened. As often is the case in Football Manager, we came back in the summer and all the star ratings had changed. I don't know why. I don't know if that's because of new players or... I don't know. It just seems to happen sometimes in FM22. The star ratings changed. Javert, as you can see, 1.5 star. He's just not great. So we thought we'd cash in. Sent him off to Deportivo Pereira in Colombia. We got 2.6 million. I think we've got a sell on. Could have got a bit more. He's obviously possibly worth 9. His attributes are okay, but he just wasn't developing. We couldn't register all these foreign players, so off went Javert. Kind of, Javert and Barros were in our control. Now we get to the ones that weren't in our control. Oh, God. Panama! Panama, he's worth 80 million. Oh, God. Release clause. The release clause was triggered. I set it so that his asking price was 10 million. I was just clicking through. I must have accepted the assistant manager recommending that we raise it to 15 or something. Arsenal came in, triggered it. I tried everything, tried to offer him out to other clubs that I could then reject because it was less than the release clause. Didn't happen. Panama's off to Arsenal. The only good thing is we saw that consistency issue. We did... This is probably like the last of these players that we lose for pittance. I think you'll see things are developing, but the physicals, the mentals and the technicals, robbery. No sell on. We just pretend that didn't happen. This was where the summer started to go wrong. Tommy Rapp. Now, Rapp we didn't want to sell. But 23 years old, we found ourselves in registration issues because of all of our players who are under the age of 21 and now above the age of 21. They're not immune from registration. So Tommy Rapp is in that category when he came in, immune from registration, not immune from registration domestically anymore. Again, the star rating, a bit like Javert, we decided to move him on to Wolfsburg. 12 million, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about it, but we brought in Peter Collar, who is a better player. Tommy Rapp, as we've nicknamed Tommy Crap, it's hugely... I mean, the wages are really high. We wouldn't have paid him close to that. So we've lost our first choice left back and right back. Are you ready for further problems? Because they're coming. Rad. Yeah, Rad. Worth 40 to 60 million. Central midfield. One of our top players. Loves big matches. It was another release clause. Triggered 27 million. Gone to Man United. 2 substitute appearances. I mean, yeah, starting attacking midfielder gone, starting left back gone, starting right back gone. on 100k a week. I mean, we could have paid him that. But yeah, the release clause strikes again. At least it wasn't a £10 million release clause. Oh boy, and it gets worse. Beef Wellington, nicknamed Willyton. Do you want to know why he's nicknamed Willyton? He's nicknamed Wellington because I am really angry and I didn't feel like being a mature human being. Not only did he refuse to train, disrupt the dressing room, he also decided to agree to sign for Paris Saint-Germain 1 hour after the end of deadline day just to spite us. So thanks for that. Love that. Fantastic. Replacement fell through as a result. So brilliant work. Thanks for that, Beef Wellington. You know what? You. So that's our starting centre-back gone as well, on an 8.5 at the start of the season. We played him in 2 games, so that means he counted for domestic registration. So we can't even register his replacement. So thanks for that, Beef. Go yourself. Right. Moving on. Rene! Oh yes, Rene, that homegrown player, not a problem for domestic registration. It is a problem when he demands to leave and kicks off and is a team leader. So in the end, we sell him for 5 million. He's worth 16. Fantastic news. But there we go, off to Espanyol. He's conceded 2 in 1 appearance. He's having a terrible time, so good for you. Bye, Rene. I mean, am I upset? I am a bit. Arguably our starting keeper? Probably not towards the end of last season. But that's arguably starting keeper gone, starting left back gone, starting right back gone, starting centre back gone, starting attacking midfielder gone. Yeah, let's have a look at the rest of those. Argao out on loan. Various other players on loan. Jovan we sold for basically no money. We sold Roman Rue. The reason was that he became injury prone, very injury prone. He just wasn't developing. So we'll see how he does over at in the Bundesliga. I mean, yeah, that's the other transfer update. What about the ins, though? You might be wondering that. Is there any silver linings? I think there are to some extent. If we go through here, those of you who will have watched the stream, obviously we signed Hovering, kind of the Mano replacement. Pretty good. 6.2 inches, feet, 6 foot. Great physicals, 3-star, a little bit inconsistent. Unfortunately, though, we do need to register him. Playing as a pressing forward. We saw that at the end of last season. Other signings at the end of last season, Peter Collard. He's come in and he's replaced Rapp. He's great. He likes big matches. He's a little bit injury prone, currently injured, or just coming back from injury. Apparently a little bit of potential. Whether playing in the Champions League is going to make him meet that potential, I don't know. But he's had 4 appearances, 1 goal, 7.4. Actually, left back, having moaned about it, is pretty much okay. Other signings, we got some players. Urban Monard, high potential, poacher. We'll see how he develops in a couple of years. I think he came for our youth system, and then for some reason our director of football released him. Jasmine Music. Jasmine Music is his real name. He is a centre-back. He is 6 foot. He's all right. He's all right. Serbian, we got him for 650,000. He's made 1 appearance. He did okay. He's sort of the Beef Wellington replacement. Yeah, that's not great, is it? And then we move on to a player that we couldn't register because we've got too many foreign players, which is Juan Inacio Barbona, who we think is probably a centre-back. Actually, this is probably the Wellington replacement when we can register him, and we have registered him for the Champions League, so we'll see. Ball playing defender, 6'3", pretty good, jumping reach, pretty good heading. He's going on the decline, but hopefully when he learns the language, gets settled in the facilities, we won't be able to register him in January, but we'll play him in the Champions League, hopefully at least from the bench, and then next year he'll settle in. He's agreed to a fringe player, so he won't actually kick off, so that's okay. That's kind of like next season. We've got the conveyor belt going. And then if we move on to other signings, another player that we can't register, but we have brought in on loan, Jordi Morales, 6'5", 15 heading, 15 jumping reach. Again, he's registered for the Champions League, even though he isn't registered domestically, so he'll be getting Champions League group games. On loan, we didn't have the money from Beef Wellington, so we couldn't sign a replacement, but we did get him in on loan. We're not paying a huge amount of his wages, I don't think. Yeah, 10k a week, pretty cheap, and we can buy him for 21 million. We now have that 30 million from Beef Wellington, so we could buy him for 21 million. Unfortunately, he's 22 years old. He's outside the registration bracket, so that's great. But 20 determination, pretty good physicals. He's pretty good. And I guess we can afford to have worse players domestically. Now then, cannelloni, playing up front with pepperoni. It's an Italian buffet at the front. Now, cannelloni was originally came in as 2.5 star. He's now 3.5 star, which, again, the star rating's all over the place. I'm not sure why. Is it because Beef Wellington's left? I don't know. Doesn't like big matches, which wasn't on there when we signed. But leadership 20, 6'6", physicals, technicals, mentals. I mean, he's fantastic. He has become the Mano replacement. He's become arguably the Manzilla replacement. He's a monster. We paid 28 million for him. We used the RAD money for him. 8.6, 4 goals and 6 appearances, 6 assists, 2 plays of the match. I mean, it's going very swimmingly. I think he was probably a pretty good buy, and it's something I'll talk to you about in a minute. But it's interesting that we've signed him from a Serie A team. Our reputation has changed. Other signings, we've got this guy, just a bit of a punt. We're actually really short on decent strikers, so hoping that some of these will just develop over the season. Maybe we'll learn them out. Matteo Castillo. Registration problems were solved by signing a former Basel player. So Matteo Castillo is a backup right back. He is the cover for the right backs that we've lost, the likes of Zorro and Panama. He's not amazing, but actually the physical's pretty good. I've used him in the Swiss national team before. He's got good depth, and he's agreed to be a squad player. So getting those contracts right has been the trick for some of these. We've not promised him more than he can offer. Benjamin Mason. I thought Benjamin Mason was going to be immune from domestic registration. No, he just turned 21. So unfortunately, not. But he is potentially going to grow into being the RAD replacement. I think we might loan him out. We'll see. We're just kind of getting him settled in, getting him learn language. We'll work it out later down the line. But I think he's all right. I think we should sell him for value. We got him for 6 million. We'll sell him for 6, maybe. Jean Valencia for 6 million from Argyle. We bought him from Argyle. We loaned him back to Argyle. The reason for this was 1, trained in nation. 2, high potential. 3, we didn't want him to see him leave. He was kicking off. He wanted to leave Argyle for 3 million to a Bundesliga team. We said to Argyle, we'll give you 6. We'll loan him back. It's good for us. We've got an attacking midfield option. We can bring him maybe in January if we're struggling with depth in attacking midfield. I actually think he's quite good. I think if he develops over the next 2 years, he could be a very good squad player for us, if not better. But yeah, we loaned him back so that Argyle could continue to develop. So that was the plan. I think Argyle are in the Super League, yeah. So they're currently second. So yeah, we did them a favour. We did us a favour. Build a nation, everybody. And then the final signing I've already shown you, Jordi Morales. Can't register him, but pretty good. We might buy him in January. Now that we've got the Beef Wellington money. Nothing else really to report. So you're thinking, what does the team look like after all these changes? This is what the team looks like. Ramey is the only player still with a release clause. Okay, all of the rest we've got rid of. His release clause is 15 million. I'm shamelessly doing the trick. We're asking for 10 million. All these teams want him, and then we just reject them. He's under contract till 2038. I'm happy to do this forever if I can. He is an amazing advanced forward, or complete forward is what we're actually trading him to be. He's going to be key to our Champions League challenge. I don't care. I'm happy to cheat. I feel like if in the spirit of realism, we would have asked the board, hey, we're selling Beef Wellington for 30 million. Can we have that money before the transfer window ends? But obviously that's not a thing in FM, so we take as good as we can get. When the realism drops off for us, we abuse the realism ourselves. He's having a great season. 8 goals from 4 appearances, 8.9. He is absolutely on fire, developing into a world beater. We'll see if we can get the release clause gone at some point, or I will just have to try and keep that transfer thing under there. But the curious thing about Remy is he's not actually kicking off that much. And if we then go back through the team, we've obviously got Cannelloni, I've already showed you. Peperami is the backup for Remy. Hoffering is the backup for Cannelloni. Absolutely fantastic up there. Haddadi, attacking midfielder. So he's now replaced Rad. We don't love Haddadi, but he's actually having a good start to the season. He's never been bad for us. The problem is if he gets injured, Enrique Iglesias, still topping out at 5 potential, but 6.7, 6.6 last year. Enrique Iglesias, I think, for whatever reason, underperforming. Potato Vlad Lopez is the golden triangle in the middle. Obviously, we've still got Mario, but Mario's ratings have dropped quite a lot. He's now only a 3-star player. He was a 5-star player. He was our best player starting the summer last year. He's now dropped down to 3-star. So make of that what you will. Matt's control is taking that left centre-back position. He's not brilliant, but he is consistent. He is driven. He's got room to improve. His jumping reach of 12, heading 16. I think the heading kind of makes up for the jumping reach. The balance is good. The tackling's great. The positioning's great. The determination's great. The bravery's great. So even though he's not the biggest, he's not actually that bad in the air. And obviously he can cover left back and right back. Left back cover is a bit of a problem for us because even though we have Lamprey, who hopefully is going to continue to develop, we just need to get those technicals and mentals up. With Peter Collar being injured a lot and having to sell rap, left back is a bit sketchy, and that's why Jasmine Music has come on a little bit. Left-footed, Max control shuffles over to the left, Jasmine Music comes on. Yagiz is replacing Beef Wellington at the moment. We don't love Yagiz, but he's all right. Again, consistently good performances. Is he a Champions League winning centre-back? No. Is he a squad player in a Champions League team? Probably. I think so. Team leader, I'm happy with that. I don't mind. And then Melhorn at right back. Don't love him as a right back. Panama was better, but he always shows up, so that's something. We've also been playing Kanye Kraus in there as an attacking right back. It's not going as well as his first season for us, but again, he's still got that potential. We'll see if he develops. And we also have, obviously, as discussed earlier, Castillo as the option at right back. On the bench, Dennis Pedrenis, domestic registration reasons. We've already talked about Iglesias. Debbie Harry is an interesting one. Brought in as the replacement for Frank. I think he's actually become more of a rotation player. I mean, he's a squad player. That's what he's playing as. He's coming in for Potato as the central attacking midfielder, or the central midfielder on attack. He's also sometimes coming on in attacking midfield, sometimes coming on up front. I'm going to have to keep an eye on him. I think he's still a bright prospect, but it's kind of cool he can play all the way through here. I'm not quite sure how to get the best out of a player that has amazing mentals and technicals, but the physicals aren't really there. I don't know if we're training the physicals. Yeah, if we're training shooting, maybe we should train something a little bit more in here. I don't know, I'll look at that later. Is it final third that we want to look at, probably? Just his physicals are going to let him down. I think that's the problem, right? And I don't know. I don't think we can help those, really. Any other comments, really? Not so much. Gatto has been on the bench here and there. Again, he's kind of free on registration. He's consistent. He's determined. The potential means he could maybe be a squad player domestically. The attributes. If we could only give his physicals to Debbie Harry, we'd be laughing. Maybe he'll develop. The determination's there, but yeah, he's getting occasional game time. Other players of note, Tony Vanish now becomes the backup keeper. We did have a player lined up. I don't know if it's going to be in the inactive deals. Oof. Yeah, Mats Schneider was going to come in for a 1.8 million as the backup keeper. He was going to be happy to the backup keeper. He's Liechtensteiner. He's trained in Nation. But the board wouldn't give us the 2 million to get that deal over the line. Would you like to know how much money the board have? £84 million, but they couldn't spare 2 million to get a backup keeper in. Oh, I love Football Manager. Oh gosh. Just ignore this. Just ignore that I've been spending lots of money on Wonder Kids. Look, I panicked. They're all very cheap. Maybe some of them will be good. I don't know. Let's look at the outs, because this is more interesting. We've had bids for Lamprey, 10 million, rejected them, no problems, not bothered about it. We've had bids for Lopez, again, 20 million, rejected them, no problem. He wants to go to PSG. I'm a little bit worried if they put a bid in, he'll kick off, but at the moment, he's chill. We've had bids for Vlad, again, 20 million from Premier League teams. We've rejected them, he doesn't care, he's fine. Haddadi, we've had bids, 20 million, again, he's fine. Potato, we've had bids of £77 million. But the club is sitting on 80 million. There's no world in which we get a player better than Potato, I don't think. So unless it's 100 million and a 50% sell on, bearing in mind we couldn't bring anyone in, we couldn't register anyone, there's nobody on the scouting that's as good as him that we could bring in. We're just going to keep rejecting these. We've got him under contract for 5 years. He's currently fine with us rejecting £77 million bids from Bayern. Whether he'll kick off later, I don't know. And then Santiago Romay, Bayer 04 actually triggered his release clause, but he didn't want to go. And I think that's kind of speaks to where we are as a club. We're not having to give players release clauses now when we offer them contracts. They're not kicking off when they're going to other teams. Our reputation is now top 20 in Europe. We are on par with a kind of mid-table team in these big leagues. Generally speaking, with the dynamics of it all and the hierarchies, we are able to persuade players to stay. And if you look at the personalities within the squad, professional, resolute, model citizen, leader, perfectionist, professional, determined. Only one player doesn't like big matches, and as I said, it's our captain. It wasn't there when we signed him. Mentally, we're there. I don't think this season's going to be the year that we get to the Champions League final. Because we just had too many players stripped from us in the summer. I think if we'd have managed to keep our centre-back partnership from last year, obviously we lost Igor to a release clause trigger in January. We obviously lost Beeflot Wellington to a release clause trigger in the summer, and him getting angry. We do have a dynamics problem there at the back, but yeah, I think we're good. Domestically, no problem. Sion managed to eke out a 1-0 draw. We played a rotated squad. We're still at the top of the league, 2 points clear with 5 games gone. The Champions League, a little more spicy. We are ranked 3rd seed still. Don't know how, because Anderlecht are ranked as 1st seed. You explain that one to me. So we got a group with PSG and Milan, and then Valencia. Of course we got Valencia. We could have had Partizan, Zenit, Osijeka, whoever the hell these guys are. Warta Sportsmannenschaft Triol in Austria. Literally never heard of them. But no, we got Valencia. Definitely a 4th seed Valencia. And of course, as I said earlier, Anderlecht are apparently a 1st seed. And I can't remember who else. Porto are apparently a 1st seed. I don't understand it, but there it is. In the Euro Cup, Sion's group, Leipzig and Kiev is pretty mean. I don't think there are any other Swiss teams in the Europa League. Oh, St. Gallen also got into the Europa League, so that's good for the coefficient. They need to see off Feyenoord and Bruges. If they lose, if Sion and St. Gallen don't make it out those groups, we're in a spot of bother. I'm hoping, come on, let's see 2 teams in the Euro Cup 2. Do we see any teams in the Euro Cup 2? Young Boys! Okay, Young Boys have made it to the Euro Cup 2. That's an easy group for them. They should get out of there. And then Vaduz. I think that helps our coefficient, I assume, because they're coming in. Oh, no, they're not, because they're coming from the Cup. So, yeah, Vaduz don't help us at all, although I guess they strengthen the league, theoretically. Maybe, if they can bring in better players. I don't know. That's annoying, but good for them. They must have gone through absolutely ridiculous qualifying to get here. Can we have a quick look at that? Yeah, look at that. They've won. Have they beaten any? I mean, they beat AEK. Good for you, Vaduz. Good for you. So, yeah, it's just going to be another season. Probably going to come back. I mean, maybe at the end of the Champions League groups. Maybe January. I don't know. If there's a big Champions League group game, I might show it you. But this is mostly just updates. So that's why it's a little bit long. Wanted to give you all the transfer news. But things are looking okay. This first team is definitely weaker than last year's. It's weaker at right back, weaker all across the centre, weaker in attacking midfield. Probably stronger up front, stronger in goal. Arguably stronger at left back. When Peter Collard isn't injured, he is very good. Maybe we should have signed him years ago. If only we'd known about him. But yeah, we've got plenty of money. The club's looking really good. The league's looking really good. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see. It's all about building the nation and building our reputation. State-of-the-art training facilities. See you next time.